Going to be a procedure on removing manifolds from an HDF tube pump. This is the top manifold on the outside that takes us down to the diaphragm. We're going to remove this. By removing this, we start by loosening the bolt that holds the cross tube in position on the manifolds. Loosen both sides before proceeding to remove the bolts that actually hold the manifold on.
30.
Okay, once we remove the top cross bolt and make sure that the lock bolt on the opposite side that holds a manifold in is loose. Now we're going to remove the 4 bolts that actually hold the tube onto the pump. Now keep in mind the same procedure you do for both sides, top and bottom, if necessary. Turn it off. Okay, now that we are removing the last of the bolts, the cross tube is loosened on the opposite side. I usually take the wrench and just gently pry those apart. Make sure that this rubber seal always stays on the cross tube. If it stays inside the manifold itself, remove it, clean it, put it on the cross tube when we reinstall. Now it's time to see what's wrong with the valve. Okay, this is your flap valve. If we have problems with the flap valve being stuck open, it usually is caused by debris being stuck in the very top of this flap valve. The flap valve has to be able to open and close. If debris is stuck inside of this gap right here, it will cause the valve to stay open and the pump will not work at all. Now that we've ensured by inspecting this that our valve is clean and has no debris, the gasket is on the cross tube. Start by putting the gasket into the hole on the top of the cross tube. Wiggle it together until the manifold is pulled up tight against the body of the pump. That ensures that when we start to replace the bolts in the holes that we will not get them cross-threaded. It is very important. All bolts need to start and be finger tight prior to ever putting a wrench on the bolt to tighten it down. Okay, now that all of the bolts are in position, the 4 bolts that actually hold the manifold to the pump and the cross bolt that holds the cross tube to the manifold are in position. All of these are finger tight. Now we can use a wrench to snug them up. The best way to do it is a traditional start pattern, starting in one corner, then moving to the opposite corner. Either go down or across. I choose to go down across at this point. And then we continue this pattern until the manifold is secure and tightened down evenly in all 4 bolts. And at that point, then we will tighten down the cross tube bolt. Now that we have the valve manifold tightened down, make sure to leave this bolt loose as you move across the pump. Remove the top bolt that holds the manifold to the cross tube on the opposite side and follow the same exact procedure on these 4 bolts. You have the same reassembly procedure as before. And if necessary, once we've replaced both manifolds on the top, and now it's time to tighten down both bolts on the top evenly. Do not over tighten it, and when replacing, make sure that the gasket goes back in the way it came out. Once we've inspected the gasket and everything looks good on the top of the pump, if it doesn't perform, we follow the identical procedure on the bottom of the pump. There are 4 valves on an HDF pump. This is a Sandpiper, a heavy-duty flat valve pump made by Sandpiper.